Recently, the Cities Skylines developers announced that they will be holding a competition in which you have to build a city in the shape of the Cities Skylines 2 logo. They gave people 1 week to build the city, and you could win some pretty cool merchandise from them. But the issue is, they announced it just as I was in a different country. So now when I'm finally back home, it's actually the last day of the competition, and I have to submit a city until 8 PM my time today, basically. And currently it's 10:23 AM. So I have about 9 hours to fully build a city from scratch and submit it in the contest submissions channel here, which already has some really amazing submissions. So what map should I choose for this? I'm actually kind of tempted to go for the same map that my Crystal Harbor Cities is built on, because it has this little bit at the end here where I could make the actual shape itself and still have a nice backdrop of mountains for the city, which is kind of my idea, by the way. I want to have the actual shape of the logo near water, and then I want to have some land and some mountains maybe in the background. Yeah, I will just go for this map. And the goal for this city is simply to make it look as nice as possible. So I will be using infinite money, I will be placing a bunch of buildings that basically won't work. The city will probably be losing money, it will have horrible traffic and so on. Yeah, the goal is not to make a functioning city, the goal is to make a city that looks nice. And so we're in. Yeah, so as I said, my idea is to make the city on this little area over here. I might actually remove this island completely as it's kind of in the way. But it actually looks like one of my mods didn't load. That's image overlay renewal is what it's called. I can basically overlay an image onto the game. I will be using that to get the actual shape of the logo as accurate as possible. So I will have to restart, but I don't need it right now, so I guess let's just start off by preparing the map a little bit and removing this island. And also it looks like the infinite money mod didn't enable. Yes, I will have to restart right away.
5 minutes later.
And so now it looks like everything is working. I have the image overlay mod here, and I have infinite money as well. So let's remove this island now. Okay, now the image is finally showing up, but I need it to be quite a bit smaller. I think this is even still too big. Let's just try and move it into place. Yeah, I feel like this will be good. But yeah, I think this size will be just fine. So now let's do some terraforming to make the land under it. And so I'm actually not really sure if I want to keep this bit in the middle or if I want to excavate that as well. I think I will actually probably keep it and make it into the main kind of city park. But as you can see, these edges here on the land, they are quite rough, so I want to add some key walls. That will probably smooth them out a bit.
Dig a hole to heaven, straight up to heaven. We can leave this dirty world behind, eternal light shining in our eyes. All of our problems we'll never have to solve them. Everything perfect harmony. We manifest exactly what we think. But I'm not ever gonna die. I'm just gonna fantasize forever. Forever in a day. Let's go to outer space, straight up.
But now I have a little bit of a base to work with. If I turn on the image here, then you can see that these top parts are actually on the mainland still. And my idea is pretty basic. I'll just make a pretty high density city in the white parts of the logo, and then the blue parts will be mainly just parks and stuff. So for instance, this part in the middle that I will keep, it will have a massive city park there. So let's just start off by expanding this highway down to the city. I'll probably just replace this 4-lane road here with the highway and connect it up to the city.
Forever in a day.
I have now spent a bit more than an hour just to get the base of the build going, and now I actually have to go do some other stuff IRL, so I will have even less time. Okay, so I am now back home. It is 3:30 PM, and that means that I have about 4 hours left to build this entire city, which is not that much time, but I'll see what I can do. Now, first of all, I need to actually connect the city up to a road. I think I will actually move the highway a little bit upwards, so it's further away from the logo itself, and just use a 4-lane road to go all the way around. Again, I don't need the traffic to be great or even like good at all. I just need the city to look nice, basically. So yeah, let's begin by making some roads in the area.
Dig a hole to heaven.
So this will be kind of like the main ring road for the city. Now it's not perfect, it's a few units off, but honestly it looks good enough, so I'll just leave it as is. So now I have to make the layout of the smaller roads. I'll just go straight down from the 6-lane to the 2-lane and just start placing some buildings. So for basically the rest of the city build, I just kind of focused on the build and didn't really speak much at all, so I will give this voiceover instead. My main goal was to make each area have its own kind of downtown bit and its own suburbs, instead of just one area being very high density and then the other ones being just regular housing. You can first see me just place some roads in the outline shape, but I quickly decide that I just need to start placing buildings instead, because I do not know from memory how big each of the buildings I have is, so it's better to just place a building and then build around it. Just quickly place some water pipes, some pumps, so the city at least works a little bit, and keep working on the downtown here.
of the stars will all be ours. Everything in perfect harmony.
Now I'm trying to do the same kind of effect as in the Crystal Harbor City build, where the middle of the downtown has all the tallest buildings and then they kind of fade out as you go further away. Because, well, that's realistic first of all, and second of all, it just makes sense and it looks good. But yeah, place some stores as well.
Forever in a day.
They just keep filling this entire area in. Here I build kind of a little university park with all kinds of sports facilities. And then I start detailing. I didn't really have much time to really detail this that much, because, well, as you saw on the video, I only had 4 hours left to complete the entire city, so the detailing here is just placing some paths and just spamming in some trees. Definitely nothing as detailed as my main city, but it still looks pretty nice. And just some vegetation throughout the city. Just adjusting this little industrial area here a little bit and placing this big oil plant. And there will be a lot more industrial in another section of the city. That was my idea from here on already, so I wanted that end of this kind of section, if that makes sense, to already be industrial. So moving on to the next section now. I built it in a really similar way, but I was actually really struggling with ideas on what to build, because I didn't want to place the same big skyscrapers again, because that would be just really obvious that they are duplicated, and usually in a city there aren't multiple giant skyscrapers that look exactly the same. So I just ended up going for these kind of like developments, I guess you could say, of the same building. Kind of the idea is that maybe one developer invested a lot of money to have all of these buildings built, and so then the little downtown on the curve of this area kind of formed naturally around it. So on one side of the road I have this kind of development, and on the other side I wanted to have this sort of cultural area with an opera and parks and stuff like that. I got a few ideas on what to place in this section here, because it was kind of an awkward section, but it ends up looking pretty decent. And now I'm just building out the downtown of this section with a little bit more skyscrapers. I try to zone in some buildings because I'm just that much out of ideas, but it just doesn't look good, so I demolish them and keep hand placing some more. And here there's another kind of development, a bit of a smaller one, but the same idea. And on the other side of the road here, I actually end up going with some low density houses. I'm not sure if this was the best decision, but I think in the end it ends up looking pretty decent, so. And now I'm just detailing the entire area with a bit of vegetation. Here just placing some trees can really improve the way an area looks. And at this point here I still actually have quite a bit of time left to submit the city, so I'm kind of detailing it all a bit more. But in the end I actually end up running out of time, because I ended up detailing a bit too much, I guess. So the very end part, which ends up being the giant park in the middle that I promised, it ends up being really rushed, and honestly it doesn't really look that nice. But the city itself is pretty detailed. Now I always try to make my cities really walkable, and this one is no exception. So you can see me placing a lot of paths, and I would be placing pedestrian roads, but I actually don't have that DLC, so that kind of sucks. And I don't really want to buy it with Cities Skylines 2 just around the corner. Now you could just see me making some hills in the middle section where I think there will be a park. But I actually end up kind of regretting making those hills earlier, and I end up flattening most of them out later. But not all of them, some hills still stay, so. And now I'm moving on to this kind of top right section, I guess you could say. Now this was supposed to be the main industrial area, and well, it is. So this one, I just used a bunch of unique factories and a bunch of these concrete assets that just kind of pave areas over. A lot of parking in here as well. Not really that much to say about this area. It's basically just an industrial area with a lot of big industrial factories. And on the other side of the road, it's still kind of industry, I guess you could say. But since it is next to the city park, then I wanted something a bit more like green and not polluting that much. So I ended up going with these first three industry buildings, just placing a warehouse for the looks, but I ended up going against that idea in the end. And I end up just filling in the rest of the logo with dense forest. Which is actually not what I wanted to do. I wanted to make it a really detailed park, and I think that actually kind of really ruined the look of the whole city, having these two forest sections just to make the shape. But I didn't have that much time left, so yeah, it is what it is. And so now I'm just working on the last section. I ended up leaving it for last because I didn't know how much time I would have remaining. And this one is actually pretty similar to the previous two. As I said, I wanted each area to have its own kind of downtown bit, and this one is no exception. This one has a bit more of these kind of glass tower style buildings, these square offices. And this area ends up looking pretty nice as well, in my opinion. There's also a little stadium area here with a bunch of parking. It's kind of the entertainment for the area. As well as yet another housing development. And now once again I'm just placing some paths to make the city more walkable, and I will be adding some vegetation as well, just to detail it a little bit. But now by the end of building this section, I was already in a bit of a rush, because while building this I had about like half an hour remaining until I had to submit the city, and I still had to build the main park in the middle. So I'm just trying to detail this area as quickly as possible, just kind of spamming in some trees. I would have loved to put way more thought into it, maybe add a bunch more little detailed park areas and stuff like that, but yeah, unfortunately I just didn't have time for the contest. So now I finally start working on the main park area. I wanted to place the main clock in the middle there. That counts down to the release of Cities Skylines 2. And also this Plaza of Transference or whatever it was called. And I end up just placing a bunch of rocks in the area with paths going all around them. This is not really what I had in mind, but it's the best I could do with the little time I had remaining. And I end up just detailing the edges of the paths with these colorful trees, and the idea was that in the very center they are red, and then as you go out they turn orange and then green. Like the further you go out, the lighter the color is. They barely actually placed all of the trees in time. Because remember, I don't have to just finish the city in time, I have to also take some screenshots, which I'm just doing right now. And I have to post them in the Discord. And now I submitted it with 4 minutes left. These are the pictures I put in. Just basically some pictures of the city from a bunch of different angles. Well, there's some really strong competition, but yeah, let's just hope for the best, I guess.
Eventually.
And now a few days later, the winners of the event have been chosen, and I didn't win. Which is completely fine. I mean, I didn't really expect to win, I really rushed the build. But these are the 5 people who won, and in my opinion, Bottom and whoever else was involved in choosing the winners did an absolutely amazing job. All of these people had absolutely amazing builds. I'll put up some images of their builds right now. So yeah, congratulations to them, and honestly, in my opinion, their builds are way better than mine, so they deserve to win. I'm really hoping that they do more competitions like this soon, because it was really fun, even if I had just one day to do my build. If I had more time, it would be even more fun. But I don't know how often they do these competitions. Hopefully often. So that will be it for this video. If you made it all the way to the end, then maybe subscribe if you enjoyed it, because I'm pretty close to 100 subscribers. That would be pretty nice to reach, and then beyond as well, of course. But yeah, that will be it for this video, and see you in the next one.